Okay, so just so everybody out there knows, we're here. We're getting ready to start on some Twitter management, tweet management. We appreciate all your responses in the Facebook Live comment section. Please feel free to keep those coming. But remember, after we're off at 5 o'clock every day, there's no point in going back to watch the video and telling us that, yes, you can hear us fine. Nobody's there. So after we're off at 5 o'clock every day, those are just videos. We're not actually live anymore. All right. Just a minute. Okay. So now we're going to talk about Twitter. Who in here has a Twitter account? A personal Twitter account? Okay. Who manages a Forest or a work Twitter account? Also, okay. Same people. Yeah. Not totally. All right. So again, what I told you about Twitter was, remember, Twitter is for short and fast. If I'm on a freeway stuck in an accident and the traffic's going nowhere and I can't figure out what it is, I can get on Twitter and I can find out what's going on somewhere up ahead of me. It's very quick. People get on Twitter right now. So it's useful for that sort of thing, and it's easy to get on your phone. Some people only use Twitter. People ask us, well, isn't this redundant? You're putting the same information on a lot of platforms. Yes, we're putting it on a lot of platforms because some people, like the gentleman back here was telling me, Bruce, that his children refuse to go on Facebook. It's for old people. All right. Some people refuse to go on Twitter. Some people only use Twitter, and some people only use Facebook. So we're on a lot of platforms, so that we're there for whatever platform you choose to embrace. We try to be there, meet them where they're at is the goal of it. And so in some communities you get one thing more than another. So I'm going to show you, this is the native tool, Twitter. And I call it the native tool because this is the actual tool, Twitter. I'm rarely in this tool. I never go here. I mean, I guess if I wanted to change my profile picture, I would go here. But I don't go here because there's a lot I can't do here. So instead, I use something called TweetDeck. There are a lot of these tools out there, and they are Hootsuite is another one. A lot of names. Just pick one you like. I happen to like. They work they do the same kinds of things. They just function a little bit differently. So pick one and stick with it, like any of these tools. Just pick one and stick with it. So the way this works, the same way that most of these work, it provides you with a dashboard. Instead of the Twitter tool just showing you, here's who's following you, here's who you're following, here's your timeline. It shows you this dashboard. So I can manage a lot of things from one dashboard. This is my home. The first one is always my home screen. These are all the people that I have followed. So all my stuff appears in there. When you open this out, these are all the places. Look at all the places National Forest of North Carolina. I probably shouldn't still be on there. So I can tweet from any of my of these that are in here. These are fires that I've been on. If I click on all of these, it used to be you could click on all of them. Look, now you have to do them one at a time. That's a pain. You used to be able to click all of them, and I could tweet from all of them at the same time. But I can tweet from any of these that I want to. I can do the Okanagan Wenatchee and National Forest. So if I want to tweet from my home page, it defaults to coming up from my home page. That's where it would want me to tweet. This is where I would write the tweet, and it counts down as I do letters. It usually tells me, see this little spinny thing here at the bottom? When this fills up, I've reached my limit. So you know that you have a certain number of characters. There's more you can do now than 140, but you still stick within about that 140 characters. Short. They're meant to be short. They're not meant to be books. If you have something longer, like an update, that's where that PDL, the tiny URL of the PDF or whatever comes in there, and that goes in here. Okay, and all your hashtags have to fit in here. So sometimes you've got a spot where all these things are saved, and you just copy it, paste it in, and then you fit your description around the stuff that has to go in. The link has to go in, and the hashtags have to go in. The name of the fire, the date, all those kind of things have to go in. Let me delete back of this, or backspace. Okay, so this is also where you You can add images or video. You can add up to 2 pictures. They do have to be the right size. Sometimes it'll say your picture's too big and you just have to go make it smaller. You can attach a video. The images in here, you don't have to create a link for them. You could just add an image. You go here and it says what picture do you want. I go in here. I pick a picture from Australia. I stick it in here. There's my picture. I can add a description, right? Okay. Let me go down here. Then I can schedule a tweet. I'm going to write in here just testing. I abuse my account all the time. Just testing. Please ignore. Okay. So I say I'm going to schedule this. And I say, all right, right now it's set to go at 4:25 p.m. on June. That would be in 20 minutes. So if that's okay with you, great. If not, I want it to go on the 17th, and I want it to go at 4 o'clock p.m. Okay, you can edit whenever you want it to go. All right? And then click it up here. It changes. 4 o'clock on the 17th. Okay? And then you hit tweet. And when you hit tweet, it says tweet at 17th of April, 2019. So once I hit tweet this then, it will show up. This is a dashboard, remember, so I can slide over. I have a few. I want to add a column here. These are things I can add. I want to add a column that is scheduled tweets. Look, there they are. And they all appear. Things that I have. This is scheduled to go. Now, because I'm an admin on the Okanagan Wenatchee, I can see all of their scheduled tweets at the same time. But I did this one just now. Okay? Let me find my down. I guess there's only 2. I can't scroll down on this one because there's only 2. And if I really don't want to do it, I can throw it away. Now, the weird thing is, I don't believe, at least last time I checked, I remember thinking, how could this be? You can't edit those. Like, say you made a mistake in it or you need to do something, you can't edit it. You just got to delete it and do another one. But I can put in any number. I can do 200 columns across here if I want to. I was watching, the columns that I have on here, which are relatively standard, my home, I have when they mention Nemo on Twitter. I watch for when we're mentioned and how we're mentioned. I have things that whenever I'm mentioned, if someone mentions me in particular, so I watch for, it brings up anything that has at Chris Erickson, which is my username. So if somebody's talking about me or saying something nice about me, I'll know I can watch it. So those are pretty standard ones that I keep on there. The other ones tend to be things that are part of what I'm doing. Last week I'm at the memorial service. So we were using 2 hashtags, Daniel Laird and Daniel Laird Memorial. So this lets me watch people who are posting or whatever posts, you know, most of them were, here's one, the Sierra reposted, one person here, Truckee Meadows Fire. So there was, mostly people were obviously using the Daniel Laird hashtag more than the others. Okay, but I can watch all the posts. So if I have somebody, if something's erroneous, somebody's putting out information that things were starting at 10 o'clock when they were at 9 o'clock or something like that, I have a way to look at it. This is great for monitoring. Okay, and it's good for a lot of other things. Scheduling, that's another thing it's good for. You can find people, you can do all kinds of things. So I'll show you, we use it for, you create a list, is what it's called. And I'll show you where we used it. This is when we were here doing the JIC here in North Carolina. I don't mean to give Brian and Kathy little shuddery flashbacks, but try to ignore that. So this is a blog, okay? And on the blog down here, we have what we call a tweet list. And in the tweet list, I can build this list in TweetDeck. And basically what we did was we added in this list all of the people that were tweeting about the fires in North Carolina, the forest, the official partners, not people, but official partners like Department of Ag, USDA Forest Service. Who else do we have? The Smoky Bear. To see who else we had on here. So we were following. So when you follow USFS North Carolina, it also includes everything that they decide to tweet. So apparently they decided to tweet something about Smoky Bear while we were following them, but their stuff appears on here at the same time. But you can make a list of however many people you want to appear in this list. Discover the forest. Okay? So you can make this list so that all the people around you, if you have a lot of cooperators, fire departments, the city or county that you're in, the Forest Service people that you're in, some kind of the Red Cross, maybe there's FEMA, whatever there is, you can build them all into one tweet list, and you can build a code, and you can do that on TweetDeck. It's not exceptionally difficult. You go in here, and then we create. Let me open this out. I have to remind myself. Let's see. We go in, and where's my add a column? I just lost my add a column. Here it is. Oh, right, it disappeared. Okay, so what they call this is, they used to call it a list, and then they changed the name to a collection. So in a collection, I have to have things that I follow. I have to have already be friends. I can only create a collection of people that I'm already following. Does that make sense? So if I'm already following the fire department, FEMA, the Red Cross, etc., they will all appear in here. I pick all the ones that I want. I want this one, and it shows up over on the right. I pick this one, it also shows up over on the right. And then I say, create a collection. And I want to call the collection NSFS test collection. Okay. And then I save it. So now I have a column with, I can drag tweets in here from over, they're not over here. But I can drag tweets over there is what I'm saying. It's hard to do because they're on the other side. But let's see. And you have to grab. I'm trying to remember what you have to grab. There's something in particular. See, you can't grab that. You see that null sign? That means I've grabbed the wrong thing. There's something particular you have to grab in here, and I'm trying to remember what it is. Or you can add by the URL or enter their tweet URL if you want to. There's a number of ways to get them in. I had to experiment with it, and it was about a month ago. Now I can't remember what I drug over. It wasn't the name. That was not it. Here. Maybe it's this. Okay. That little plus sign, which is the sign for moving everything. So I can build this collection of people, put it over there. Okay. So now, say I'll just grab a number of things, and I'll drag them over there so you can see this. And I grab this one. Oh. Come on. Now it won't let me. Oh, nope. I already grabbed that one. Of course, it's only when I'm trying to show you how this works that it won't work. There it is. I'm trying to find this. And let me grab it. Okay, so I have 2 things. Now I might have 14 things over there. Okay? Is if you're on a fire and there's a lot of cooperators and you want to sort of put it into your blog, or you can even I think you can put it on Facebook in a certain spot. I don't usually put it in Facebook because they're sort of 2 separate tools, but I put it in the blog on one side, like I showed you in here on the North Carolina JIC. It's down here on the right hand side, and it's a continuing rotating list. Every time somebody tweets something, it shows up on our list. So this is a public page. It helps. Remember, we're trying to aggregate information for the public. We're trying to bring everything as much as we can to one spot so they don't have to go chase it. So we brought everybody that's on Twitter into one spot. So if you want to create this, then you go up here. There's some directions up in this little, I don't know what you call this little thing up in the corner. Little, something like that. And then you click share. And it says, I want to embed this collection somewhere. And it gives you this. I copy this code, and that's the embed code.
That's cool.
Right. And then I just go into, this is in the back end of, which we'll go over tomorrow. There's under layout, there are some gadgets that you add. Excuse me. Sorry. There's some gadgets that you add, and I'll just show this to you. We'll go over this later. Don't worry about this. But you have some that are for HTML JavaScript, and when I add that gadget, that's what lets me drop in this code, and it appears. Now you can change also the width that it is. You know how high, how tall you want it to be, and how wide you want it to be, so it'll fit in a right-hand column. You might have it a little wider, shorter, whatever you want to do. It's fairly easy to do. Like all of these things, it's just you have to know that it's possible, and then figure out where it is. You know, it isn't overly hard. It just you have to remember where it is, and they keep changing where it is all the time. So, but it makes this nice little continuous Twitter feed over in the right-hand column. So there's all kinds of things that you can do when you have TweetDeck. I like it because it lets me look at a dashboard of things. I can add any search I want to. When I'm done with this one, I can go here and I can say remove, because we're done with the memorial and I don't need this anymore. So let's remove that. Give me a search to add. Okay, good fire. Now, there's two ways to search. I can search like this, good fire, or I can take this back and I can put hashtag good fire. Now, the difference between the words good fire and hashtag good fire as one word is how it searches. If you just put in the word good and the word fire, it will bring up every tweet that contains the words good and the words fire. That's not necessarily what I'm looking for. I'm looking for, Kathy has been posting a bunch of things on good fire as prescribed burning, and she's been using the hashtag good fire as one word. If you want to narrow your stream to just the thing you're looking for, you want to have a hashtag that you always use, and it lets people do a search, and they'll only get the stuff that pertains to that hashtag, only things that are posted with that hashtag. Does that make sense? So when I search for this, like this, now I don't know if anyone's using this hashtag. Oh, look, they are. Good fire, hashtag good fire, and mostly Nature Conservancy. Look, the Okanagan Wenatchee. And it's about a planned burn, which is what I would have thought it was about. Fire science. All kinds of stuff comes up under good fire. Now, if I was to close this one, I can change this. I can go in and just make a space and take out the hashtag, and let's see what we find. Now, this is going to say, has the word good in it. We've got the word good, and we have the word fire. We have good, and maybe further down somewhere. Oh, it has just good in this one. It doesn't have to have both words, because they're not. It's going to have anything that has good. That's too broad of a search. Okay, that's not what you're looking for. So let's go in here and look also for hashtag. What have we been using here? And North Carolina Social Media 2019. Let's see what we find. Brian! Don Sanchez, named in person. So we can see anybody that's using this hashtag. Okay? So what's interesting is this. See, now here's the reason why you should search. You always check to see who's using your hashtag. We thought we just made this up. Who else could be using this? Well, guess what? This I don't even know what. It's probably North Carolina Science Meeting or something like that, and they're already using that hashtag. So we're getting all kinds of things in here that have nothing to do with what we're doing. Which that's a good lesson to myself. Yeah, is that if you capturing your hashtag is an important part. Sometimes you get there and they've already started. I mean, there's already been a team there and they have the hashtags captured and you're golden. Sometimes you're the first person there and the community has started Facebook pages and they're tweeting already and they're using all these hashtags, right? So the trick is you start doing a search. You look under hashtag whatever your fire is, you look under no hashtag, and then you look at people's tweets, the things that you're seeing, like over here, over in this one, I look at whatever they're talking about, and I say, oh, this one's... That was a bad move. We'll see if it actually comes back on again. But you look for the hashtag that people are using in the community, and you'll see, after you start looking at it for a while, you'll start seeing hashtags coming up over and over again, and you realize that's what the community is using. And then you sort of, for lack of a better term, you hijack that hashtag. Okay? So you find that the community, there's one or two that they're using in particular, and you grab those and you continue to use those. That way, the ones that are already being used in that community will work for you. But you should, and we did not, check your hashtag by going into TweetDeck or Twitter and looking at the hashtag and saying, oh, somebody's already using that. See this? Does anyone have the quote? You can't see this. Does anyone have the quote slide from Louise Cruz's opening talk about malpractice and being complicit if we don't confront it? Okay, obviously, and that's using the hashtag NCSM 2019. Trying to see if there it is. This one right here. They're using the same hashtag we are, but it's obviously about a completely different thing. Okay, so you should check and see what hashtag is available to you. So let's say we do, let's say we were interested in what they were doing. So we were interested in whatever conference this is. So we look here and we see, you can see here some @ signs. That's just they are mentioning someone. That's that mentions. If something says @Chris Erickson, it will show up in here for me, but that's what these ats are. They're drawing attention to someone, to a user. They want to say, look, I'm mentioning you in this column. So what we're looking for is actually hashtags. So here we see hashtag educator, hashtag sharing. So we go, well that's interesting. We scroll down further, we see obviously big ideas math. That's another one. Now I haven't seen any appear more than once, so I keep looking down. I see a consulting firm. I see still looking for hashtags, mostly that NCSM 2019. That's MTBO. See, I'm not seeing any consistency. Usually on a fire, you're going to see consistent hashtags. But you can see that they established this long enough ago that almost every one of them, well, because we looked it up that way, has this hashtag. So you just have to do your searches. You search every way you can find, and you get a couple of columns going, and you start looking for hashtags, and you say, okay. And you can do this before you leave home. Once you know you're going to a fire, you start looking for this information at home. You don't have to wait till you get there. You can look for it on your phone and just start capturing some hashtags that you might use. You want shorter ones, is always better because it doesn't take up nearly as much room. Here's one person trying to draw attention to a couple of things. They want all these people to know that they're posting, and they also are using all of these hashtags. So let's say I've seen that one a couple times. I've seen that one, obviously. But say we want, math. We can just do the search for math and come up with everything associated. When you use a hashtag, it narrows your filter. But it only works if you check to see that you're one of the few that's really associated with your event. This is the problem you run into if you aren't sure that it's with your event, okay? But when I'm doing searches and trying to find them, I put in wildfire, just generally, no hashtag. And I look and see who's talking about wildfire, or maybe we post, here's something happening. Notre Dame, right? Oops. So let's see, if we get just general Notre Dame, and we say, okay, what hashtag, and look how fast they're coming in. There's a lot of them. So as it catches up, yeah, well, this is from all over the world, right? So you'll get a lot of them, and not all of them will be in English. But eventually, at some point, when it stops, this is why you want it. This is why you narrow it, because it's too much if you put in this much. So if we keep looking at it, I can see that people are using. I've seen a few. I'm trying to stop it. It just keeps pouring in. But let's say we made this one word, and we did hashtag Notre Dame. Still coming in pretty fast.
It's kind of a big deal.
Yeah. So what you would do in a case like this, and I've had this happen like when I was on a relatively big fire, and we first got in there and looked it up, and it did this all over the fire because I couldn't narrow it down enough. I didn't know what they were using. So you just got to wait till it's done, feeds everything in, and then see if there's anything other than just Notre Dame. It's the hashtag that it's following, and then look for that. It'll keep going for the next hour here. Now, when we talked about incident-specific accounts, Twitter is another one that your forest is probably going to have one, but the reason you want to have an incident-specific account, because again, we will blow up your page. It will be all us all the time, and you won't get to use it for anything else. And you have other stuff going on your forest or your state, whatever, right? So another reason is because, has anyone heard of fast follow? Is that my? Oh, I was like, it sounds like my phone. Whose phone is that? All right, so a fast follow is what you can do when you want, I'll give you a for instance. Remember that we talked about the Okanagan-Wenatchee National Forest being a giant forest, and you're up in the Methow, you're the mayor of the Methow Valley, and there's a big fire up where you are, but we don't want Okanagan-Wenatchee. If I create an incident-specific one called ABC Fire, which is in the Methow, or Methow Fire, which is the name of our fire, and we create a user account under Methow Fire, I can take your phone, I can go to you, the mayor, who wants and is not on Twitter. So I don't have a Twitter account, but would you like to see what we're tweeting? Yes, I would. On your phone? Yes, I would. You go on their phone like you're going to get a text message, and you type, instead of a phone number, you type 40404, which is the Twitter handle. 4040404. And when you get in there, in the body of it, that goes in where the phone number would go, and in the body of it, you put in follow at Methow Fire, which is the name of the fire. And then you say, okay, and it calls you. I mean, it calls him, it asks him. Essentially what it's doing is setting up a quasi-Twitter account. It's not a real Twitter account, but it asks him, do you want to do this? It asks a couple of questions. He says, yes, yes. And then he will get every tweet you send out on his cell phone as a text message. Very handy for, you're in some rural area and you need a county commissioner or a mayor or the governor or somebody to be able to, and you're using Twitter on a regular basis. It's a great way to help people, get that information. 40404. It's like, they have all kinds of things like that. Send your information to this number. They're these, I don't know what you call them. They're short identifiers for certain businesses, but I've seen numerous of them, but that happens to be Twitter's. So if you do that, there are numerous things you can do, but Fast Follow is one of them. And I believe it tells you when you sign up, it says if you want to stop this, you click stop at Methow Fire, and then it doesn't do it anymore. But you can't do that, or I should say you don't want to do it if you're following the Okanagan-Wenatchee. Because there's 800 fires on the Okanagan-Wenatchee, and this guy's going to get... And there is a limited number of text messages. I don't know how many it is, but there is a limited number that a person can get as text messages on their phone. I have not exceeded it yet, but if you were getting them from everything on the Okanagan-Wenatchee, it would go over the limit. And he doesn't need those. He only wants the fire in his backyard. He or she only wants that. So Fast Follow is a great tool. It's also great for your liaison officer to know, because he can take that information, tell them how to do it. He can take that information and go to, when he's out talking to cooperators or at a stakeholder meeting, and he can say, if you're not on Twitter, who here's on Twitter? One person raises their hand. Okay, because it's a bunch of farmers or something else and they don't follow. Okay, would you like to know what we're posting updates on Twitter? Do you want them on your phone as text messages? If they say yes, show them, your liaison officer who's out in the community talking to people can show them how to do it. I make sure that all of my team members know how to do it, so that if my IC is talking to the forest supervisor or a regional forester or somebody else, and they want to know, then they can follow. Okay, it's a valuable tool, but it's only good if you have incident specific information. It's still coming in. I don't think there's anything more we can do about that. Let's see. We showed you how you can do a photo. This is really all there is to it. It's relatively simple to do. You can schedule a tweet anytime. You can see your list of scheduled tweets. Oh, one thing I was going to tell you about. And this idea got introduced to me by my deputy, Laura McConnell. The idea of what we call a tweet sheet. So a tweet sheet, and this is something that if you have a remote PIO helping you, like somebody who couldn't come to the fire but they're willing to jump in and help you for something, which we have all the time. We take the update in the morning and break it into a series of tweets. And I use TweetDeck to do it. Like I'll put it in this area here and write the tweet so that I know how long it is. And I put in all the hashtags, put all the links in, then I copy it out of there and put it on a piece of paper. Then I write, and I do this with the whole press release. There's some stuff that you can run. I wouldn't run stuff on your morning press release much past noon. So, you schedule your tweets, say, on the half. I do them on the 15 and the 45, just so they don't interrupt with everything else. But on the 15 to 45, I schedule tweets to go that are picking up details from the morning update, with links back to the update, with links to maps, with all that kind of thing in them. We prepare a whole bunch of them. And then this person, this remote person, or somebody back wherever they're sitting, will get this all done. And then somebody comes in, either the same person. You can either write it and schedule them at the same time, or write it and give it to someone to schedule. But then they come in here and they're all done. They just drop them in here, schedule it. Drop the next one in, schedule it. Drop the next one in, schedule it. So the question is, can you use TweetDeck on your phone? You can. It's not nearly as functional. I prefer it on my desktop because it's you're only seeing like one column at a time, and if you have a lot of columns, it can be cumbersome. And I usually have my computer open, so when I'm sitting at an incident, I keep TweetDeck open as a tab. It's just one of 14 tabs I have open on my desktop, and I just flip to it and look at it. It's just easier. You can see it on your phone, but not as well. But so you see what I mean by this tweet sheet. You create tweets ahead of time. Usually at the top of sometimes we have a form for a tweet sheet, and it tells you the instructions always. Use these hashtags. Don't forget to put in your link for your map. Don't forget to put a tiny URL link in, and don't forget a tiny URL link to your update. And always use, remember the date. It has some instructions, name and date of the fire and all that, and you put everything in one thing. Then the person dumps everything into this page, and either they schedule it or somebody else schedules it. And you get them all running, you get them all listed. And hang on just a sec. The reason this works really well is that then you have them all scheduled through, say, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and they're all scheduled. And then when other things happen, you're free to write a tweet on that. All your standard stuff is there, and you don't have to worry about whether you have something going out. You do, and you can unschedule it if you have a button, like the fire blows up and you need to do a lot of tweets on that. You just go over and delete it, and it won't post. But you have the basics are covered. Yes.
You know, with regular Twitter, if you have a really long thing you want to tweet, you can create a thread, right? You can just keep hitting the plus sign, and it allows you to push together. Can you do that?
That's a really good question. Oh, the question was, I keep reading. Maybe I should ask her on that. And on the Twitter, the native tool Twitter, that would be this one. You can create a thread by hitting the plus sign. I'm going to try to remember where it is. This thing. And then this thing, right? When I have a tweet, this makes it possible to add another tweet, right? Is that what you're talking about? You can make a thread of tweets, and can you do that on TweetDeck? I actually don't know that because I don't usually create threads, so I don't know. Like I said, I don't know everything about every tool. I know a little about a lot of tools, and not a lot about many of them. But if anyone online happens to know if there's a way you can do the thread on TweetDeck, I wonder if no, I've only done searches by hashtag. I haven't tried to create a thread. Is there anyone online, Serena, that has any answer to creating on TweetDeck?
No, the only thing that one comment was the downside of the Twitter text messages is that it limits the characters. So everything in your tweet may not go through to the text message, and people won't get all the.
Okay, so that's an important thing to remember. The tweets that you have someone follow on that 40404 that come as text messages, it does limit the characters that you have in there. So that leads me to, it's often important that you have your link to your update first. That it's at the front of your tweet, not at the end of your tweet. Otherwise, when it gets too long, guess what it's going to chop in half? The URL for your tiny URL is going to get chopped in half. So some people put it first and say, this is the link to this particular whatever. And yeah, I mean, that's why, if you stick with 140 characters, I think the phone is limited to 140 characters. So if you stick with the 140 character limit, which you don't have to on regular TweetDeck now, I can't remember how many it goes to, 226, 220, 280, I don't remember, 2 something. But if you stick to the 140 characters, then you're good to go. It should be fine on the phone, but you just have to be careful.
Another person commented that he's been able to do a thread on TweetDeck, but hasn't been able to schedule a thread.
Oh.
To do that real time.
Huh. Okay. So somebody said that they've been able to schedule a thread to do a thread search, I'm guessing, on TweetDeck, but they haven't been able to schedule it. But they have been able to do it on TweetDeck. So we just have to look at how it was you. Let me close this one and see if, yes, throw that away. TweetDeck, if I say was going to do a new tweet from mine, see, I just don't know where the plus sign is. That's what I'm not seeing. But again, stuff gets moved all the time. So now one thing to know is you can direct message people on Twitter. Somebody can send one directly to me. Underneath these, let me find it again. Again, the things, they keep moving. Replying to Brian Haynes. This would reply, when I click this, it's direct messaging at brhaynes23. So my message would go directly to him, and nobody else would see it. Okay, so sometimes, if you get somebody, you can engage in a conversation with somebody that no one else sees because it is a direct message. But you have to make sure, because sometimes if you're direct messaging something that you don't want anyone else to see and then you accidentally make it public, that would be bad. But yeah, oops. But that would be, there's a lot of things you can do in here. This is another one of those that you just have to play with. You can embed this tweet, copy the link, share. Here's a share via direct message also to Jim Whittington. There's a lot of different ways to get to the same place on Twitter, and TweetDeck has most of those. You just have to, it's just a matter of where it is once you know what the tool will do. You can do direct messages to people, you can do lists of people, etc. So that's does anybody else have anything else I'm looking at what I have. Any other questions? Anything you know about that you want to ask about? If not, we'll just see if is there any more online? Okay. All right. So that's what we have on Twitter. So is there any more questions? Let's go over a little bit. Any more questions about today? I'm sure you have a lot of questions, but any that spring to the top of your head that we can try to answer for you, put on a bin item to answer on another day for another tool, and we'll remember to address it at another time. I know it was a lot of information, especially if this isn't, it's a lot of information just to talk about it, much less actually try to learn it all and absorb it all. So all I can tell you is, if you're not totally burnt out today, go play with it at home or in your hotel room, and you keep your Facebook page. You'll need it for a couple of days to practice doing things. So just keep it up, and then we'll get rid of it later. Don't add any of your family or friends, or they'll send it.
Drinks and do a Facebook Live.
Yeah. You could do that. Be very careful you're doing it on that page. Yeah. Be careful about going to a bar and tweeting. It's a bad combination, or posting on Facebook. So tomorrow, just so y'all know, I don't have my list of what we're doing tomorrow. That's all messed up. Oh, look, here I have the agenda. I don't have one in my hand. So tomorrow, day 2, for people online, we aren't going to start until 9:15. We're going to take the morning, we're going to do a little review, and we're going to practice on TweetDeck. We're going to do some tweeting in the morning. So we just don't have time this evening. So we're going to start at 9:15 Eastern Time, talking about blogging. Then we're going to talk about some social media strategy and protocols. We're going to talk about incident-specific pages, how to choose your tools. We're going to talk about when things go bad. We have some lessons learned. And then we're going to talk about, to engage or not to engage with people that come online. So there's a lot of only really one tool tomorrow. Well, practicing Twitter, and we'll do some blogging. After that, it's mostly sort of theoretical strategies, protocols, what's our experience with doing that kind of thing. So 9:15 Eastern Time for people online. Everyone else who's here locally, we will start. Well, we have a little flexibility because we're not going live at 8 o'clock, but be here at 8 o'clock, and we'll take it from there. I hope it was useful today. Thanks.